Are we in business? I don't know if we're in business. I don't know. Unable to connect. How do I fix that? Oh, come on. Well, that didn't work. All right, we're going to backup plan. We're going to the backup plan. Let's see here. Come on, get out of this thing.
Retract.
What's going on here? What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Tuesday. Today is officially Wednesday. No, today's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, isn't it? Today's Tuesday. Okay. Go live. Cancel. We're still live on the other side. All right. Welcome. Good morning. We're trying to get things working. Why is this not? There we go. We're working there. And yeah, see, I tried something and it didn't work. So I'm working through the issues, of which there are many, trying to do new, amazing things. And that doesn't always work. So I wanted to go widescreen. Widescreen did not cooperate. I think I know why. We'll try again tomorrow. And you know what? I don't actually need widescreen today because, well, I'm alone here. But you know what? I will have this figured out one day. My name is Sean Shapiro. That's me. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and what you've tuned into is called Ask a Traffic Cop. Yes, I'm a traffic cop. I answer your traffic and police questions right here on social media. I say social media because it's a wide net. It's a wide net because we are currently broadcasting on TikTok, which is it's the biggest platform on the planet, at least for us. We've got over 602,000 followers, which is amazing. Thank you to those who follow us. We are also broadcasting on Instagram Live. We're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're also on Twitter, but if you're on Twitter, we can't actually see your questions. So I would encourage you to go to trafficcop.ca, which is it's basically a link to my link tree, and that link tree will take you to all of the other social media platforms that we have. It'll also take you into our Volley space. Volley will allow you to, you can send me video, voice, or text into our group. We have a little community there of which you are welcome to join. Additionally, you can use the links at the bottom of the link tree to do things like check to see if the person you're going to loan your car to actually has a license. You can check to see the status of their license. It's great that someone gives you a license card. How do you know it's valid, that they're not suspended? And guess what? You're responsible. If you give someone your wheels and it turns out that they're suspended, you can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act. Did you know that? Now you do. We have what do we have? Well, we have a link there. If you're buying a used car, make sure it's not a stolen car. It gives you the ability to check the VIN number. There's a bunch of cool stuff there. So I invite you to go to trafficcop.ca and utilize the goodness that is there. If you don't already follow us, please do. We love having new followers. We're on the road to 1 million followers, at least on TikTok. But regardless of the platform you're on, please hit the screen, choose like, share with your friends. We would love it if you shared the good information that we are providing. We are claiming it's good information. Oh, it is good information. We want to share it with as many people as possible. Our goals every single day when we do this are to dispel myths. A lot of myths about driving and laws and things that people think they know, but they aren't right. So we want to get everybody on the right track. We also want to save you money. Why should you break laws that you don't realize are laws? You don't realize you're breaking them. We want to make sure you're on the right track so you don't get pulled over, you don't get stopped and charged for something that was totally avoidable. And finally, and most important, we want to keep people safe. Every single day when you go out on the road, we want you to be safe and get home to where, is important. Like your friends and family, yeah, they care about you, you care about them, you want to see them. So let's make sure that is a regular happening thing. Jace just sent a message. Let me set up my little thing here. I just made a coffee with instant coffee. I don't have a tablespoon or a teaspoon, not tablespoon. I do not have a teaspoon here, and I do not know how much coffee I sprinkled in freehand into the cup. I boiled the water, I poured it in, and then I added coffee. I have no idea how much is there. Either I'm going to be really, really hopped up on caffeine, or maybe it'll be watery. We'll see. We have, Jay says, good morning, Mr. Shapiro. How are you doing today? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. We have some questions or comments or people in the chat who have jumped in. Lloyd Court says, morning, how you doing? We already covered that, but thank you, Lloyd. I don't think we've ever spoken before. Lloyd's coming in from LinkedIn. Welcome to the show. We have here, Kayla says, I saw some familiar faces on Traffic Jam. Yeah, Traffic Jam is our podcast, and the podcast that Kayla is referring to is the most recent one that we aired. It has the folks from the automated enforcement team. That's for the City of Toronto, the people that are in charge of those red light cameras and those speed enforcement cameras. I squint to make that face because people hate those machines. But you know what? They're there to make people slow down. They're not supposed to make you happy unless it's slowing people down in your neighborhood. Then they are supposed to make you happy. Jacob says, good morning. Actually, he said, yes, sir, ask a traffic cop. And then he said, Richard sends good morning from a very icy and slippery Thunder Bay. Well, thanks for popping in. Hey, Sean, here's one question. How long did it take you to get a blue tick on your Twitter? Currently waiting. So Jacob has noticed that I actually subscribe to Twitter Blue. Yes, I'm going to pay $15 a month because I want to see what the app, I'm all about social media. I do it every day. I want to know what you get. What's the benefit of having a blue check mark? So I paid for it. What does that work out to? It's like $15 a month. We'll see if it's worth it. If it's worth it, I'll keep it. If it's not, I won't. But being verified, there's other ways to be verified. But you get a blue check mark for being verified. And it took me a couple of days. And then suddenly I had a blue check mark, and I felt special. Now there's a blue check mark, a gold check mark, a gray check mark. There's check marks for every occasion. Blue, actually, if you click on a check mark, let's see if I can do this. Blue check mark, can I do it? What does it mean? There's a whole bunch. There's government ones are gray now. There's gold ones are companies. There's tons of different check marks, and knowing what check mark is the check mark for you and which one means something, because everyone who had a check mark prior to Twitter Blue coming out, now when you click on the check mark, it says, they qualified as a blue person prior to the change, and they may or may not still be relevant. So is a blue check mark really mean anything anymore? I don't know. It just means you're paying them. I do have the ability of undoing. If I send something, I can edit it within 30 minutes and undo it. And all undo means, really, in the first segment, is that you can press send, and it gives you another window. It says, if you don't change anything in 30 seconds, we're going to post this. I don't know why everyone doesn't have that feature. Or just read your stuff before you press send. I say that, and then I sometimes undo now that I have that functionality. Someone's trying to join us on TikTok to go live, but I am not taking any guests on this live. Unless you're police, fire, ambulance, traffic safety expert, then we can bring you up. There are days when we will bring guests on, but today is not one of those days. Chase says, you said someone can be charged if they give out a car to a suspended driver. What about a rental car company? I don't think they check status of each driver. If you give your car up and that person is unlicensed, you have created a situation where someone who has a condition or a suspension, an unlicensed driver is behind the wheel, you've let it happen, you can be charged. Same as letting a G1 driver drive your car. Saying I didn't know they were suspended isn't enough. You can still be charged. And in terms of the rental companies, I would hope that they check them. I don't know what their policies and procedures are, but yeah, they could be charged. It's not just good enough to say I have a plastic card with my name on it. That does not mean anything. And they have access to this same website. It's free to use. You punch in the number, some basic information. Hey, you know what? I have a friend who's popping in. Hang on a second here. Good morning.
Good morning, Sean.
Brian Max, he is joining me on the screen. And TikTok, I told you that TikTok would be able to see you, and then it didn't work.
Okay.
But it's good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
Not bad. I see your Save the Manual shirt.
Yeah, we're doing a podcast shortly, so we're gonna talk a little bit about manual, so it's appropriate clothing. And if you need, go to max.com/shop to get your own Save the Manual shirt.
And it's funny. So if you don't know who you're hearing right now, it's Brian Max. You're a man of many talents. You're a journalist, a radio show host. You're a race car driver, an evaluator of things with wheels. What else do you do?
I've been teaching race driving and coaching for 20-something years as well. So do that stuff, and then I do other stuff that I don't even talk about publicly. Not that it's a secret.
I don't want to know about that stuff. If it's
not. No. It's or let alone illegal. It's completely separate. So.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to drop by. I usually drop by your studio and hang out with you guys on the radio, talk about car stuff. So I love it when you can pop in and talk to us. And again, we were going to go widescreen today, and I was able to do it yesterday. I tested it yesterday, and that was on a non-scheduled event. I was able to add the RTMP stream, but I couldn't do it on this scheduled event. And you can't get a stream key in advance of streaming. Every time you hit go on the TikTok, it actually creates a new stream key, which means I tried. Maybe tomorrow we'll do it.
You know what? I'm sure it's a little coding fix that they're already on top of, and it's going to take a couple of people a couple of days to figure it out.
We're a unique setup. We have access to certain functionality on TikTok that others don't. We have to be special listed to be able to do this, and we've had it actually for almost 2 years, and never had the technology or the way to do it. And now I've done it a couple of times. I had an OPP member who came in, and we impromptu lived, and it worked beautifully. And then it didn't work today. But whatever. Whatever.
One day it will.
Yes, and I'm ready for that day to happen anytime now.
Yes, exactly.
But we're always trying to make the show better. We're always trying to make things better.
Of course.
If you've got questions for myself or for Brian, how much time have we got you for?
I might have 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, well, if you got questions about race car driving, if you got questions about driving a big old, I say big old electric car today, what are you driving right now?
A big old electric car, a 6,000-pound BMW four-door sedan. It's just shy of 6,000 pounds. It's the new i7, so it's the new 7 Series with an all-electric powertrain.
Right on, and
it's two-tone.
Two-tone, like it changes color two-tone, or it's two-tone?
No,
it's got two colors of paint.
Yeah, it's black on the top that runs sort of just below the windows, and then it's burgundy all the way down.
Okay, I went down the path of multicolor electric changing because I saw some video about that coming up at the upcoming. Well, actually, it was at CES.
Yeah, it was CES a week or two ago, and BMW has a multicolored car. They had a car that would change 2 colors a couple of years ago. Now it'll do all sorts of 32 colors or something.
Because everyone needs a car that can change color while you're driving.
Of course, that wouldn't be distracting at all.
No, but you know what? There's a lot of arguments about distracting vehicles and things like what happens if you have a billboard. There are some vehicles that drive around downtown with billboards on. They're really bright, and I'm not sure where that falls into in terms of projecting light. I think it would be. You are projecting white light in directions other than front and back. There's potential charges there. But anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of which, here's a question for you, and I'm sure you've answered this before, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer. But there was a gentleman I passed on Yonge Street the other day who was driving well below the speed limit, and I didn't. There's 2 lanes in this section of Yonge Street, but of course, as I'm passing, I'm looking over. Why is he driving so far below the speed limit? And of course, he's given me the evil eye, as they say, for going faster than he is, because 30 kilometers in a 50 kilometer an hour zone is fast enough for this gentleman. Yes. Nonetheless, the reason why he was driving slow is because he had a dog on his lap.
Oh, I don't know if that was the reason, but it certainly had something to do with his general being.
It had everything to do with mindset and his general approach to driving, I'm sure.
Well, so driving with a dog on your lap is careless driving. It could also be drive while crowded. We're back to losing. I was shocked. Hang on, we lost him for a second. I was shocked that you had stayed as long as you did without an internet oopsie doo. But last time we did this, Brian's
same thing happened.
Every 5 seconds popped in. I don't know why. Are you using Chrome? That could be a reason why.
I am on Chrome.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Well, next time I have all the browsers, so next time I'll try.
Chrome is the right one. Chrome is the right
one.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, it's Safari that's not supported.
Oh.
And I know you're a Mac guy. So what were we saying? I was saying, careless driving or drive while crowded. Those are the 2 basic charges. You can't do it. It's unsafe. It's not good for your animal. Your animal will become basically one with you, and their bones can be pointy and sticky when they're being driven into your body at 200 miles per hour, because that's how quickly the deployment rate of an airbag is in the event of a collision. Yes. But in terms of just driving below the speed limit, it's not specifically illegal to drive below the speed limit, but driving 30 and a 50 could be unnecessary slow driving. and petting poo poo, whatever your pooch's name is on your lap.
It was a bit fluffy.
A fluffy thing. It's yes. I had a smallish dog. I thought he was the toughest small dog. He was a Bichon. His name was Max, and he was a big Bichon. I guess you live in a house with big people, you get to be big. But
Sure.
These rats, little rat dogs, I don't like.
No, my dog doesn't like them either.
Yes, they call them lunch.
No, mine just doesn't. He just ignores them. He wants nothing to do with the little dogs.
That's too funny. If you've got questions, throw them in the Q&A. I got to see. This is something I've been seeing. Lots of drivers running reds when turning right. Have you been seeing this on the road? People who fail to stop when making a right turn, they just drive right through.
In my neighborhood, especially Midtown Toronto, absolutely, all the time, and stop signs as well.
Stop signs. I've watched people. I said this a number of times. I used to live at a T intersection. I used to watch people pass vehicles that were slowing down to stop at a stop sign to run the stop sign. It was amazing and horrific. And I wanted to put up my own camera just to capture this because I thought it would be great content. But I was losing my mind there. And in 32 Division would go and do regular enforcement there. But wow, and I would be, when I was a traffic car, if I was there, I'd run down that street and see what was going on. And people would just run one stop sign, the next stop sign, the next. One guy was delivering sushi. And when I finally stopped him, he was shocked that there was that he was caught. But he didn't realize, he didn't see it. He was so focused on finding the address and I guess not meeting his time guarantee. Does sushi have a time guarantee?
Well, it should if it's raw.
Well, it goes bad otherwise, right?
Yeah.
What do you want growing on your sushi? Big Jeff Fresh coming by YouTube says, good day. Stephen Bell, good morning. The Canadian Show, hello. The Canadian Show, if you haven't caught his show, he does trivia nights, and he actually does, it's all Canadian-based trivia. Great channel. And thank you. By the way, I don't think I reached out to the Canadian Show to thank him. He did a video saying Canadian content creators you should follow, and he talked about me and us and we. Very cool. Thank you very much. Richard says, running red lights on right turns is a real problem in Thunder Bay too. I think that in general we have a lack of good drivers. We have a lot of drivers who think they're really good because all you have to do to find out is you ask them, are you a good driver? They say yes, but
everybody's a good driver.
Just ask them. I love it.
I know. Yeah.
Scott Marshall said that the first time and it stuck. Let's see. Can a Toronto police officer pull a TTC bus over? What would you guess?
That's a yes. And it's happened before.
Yeah, and we investigate collisions involving them too. And if we see something that's egregious and we charge them, they get sent home. They lose a day's pay. They get sent home for doing bad things when they're driving. They have all the reason to follow the rules.
Now, and in general. Yeah, in general, I find the bus drivers pretty good, like way above average for sure. There's some other TTC drivers of other TTC vehicles that are not so good. And in fact, I had one cut in front of me yesterday, and if there were a collision, totally not my fault.
Let's see here. Akela says, I can sum up the drive. No, I cannot say what you just said. I'm not going to say that.
No, absolutely not. It is universal, and there are plenty of reasons for it. And, from my perspective, a big part of it has to do with our licensing standards and the requirements that go into earning your driver's license. And, the part also, it's a cultural thing. In perhaps North America, people.
It's always in the midst of deep thought. Deep thought.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I think in North America, it's a cultural thing where people think that a driver's license is a right.
Yes. It is not.
Yeah, definitely not.
We'll talk more about that in a second. But Caleb suggests that the city needs to label building numbers better, bigger numbers. It's not the city that puts the numbers in the buildings, though. It's the buildings that put numbers in the building. Yeah. We have a question. This is something I don't think we've ever talked about this. What's the computer in a cop car do? What is it for?
That's a great question.
It is a fantastic question. And that's Skeet who asked that. And Skeet, the answer is A lot of things. It's computer. So everything from Microsoft Office, sending emails and stuff. But while we're driving, it's actually our dispatch. It's communication from the communication operators that will send us details to the collisions for traffic, or it could be to the 911 calls for people in need of emergency response. It allows them to send messages to us. It allows us to send messages to them. It's a mapping software. We don't have a GPS. It is in that software. We can run license plates. We can run driver's licenses. We can do checks on people to see what's what. So it's part of our investigation tools. It's got a printer. We have thermal printers so we can print tickets and reports. It is an everything tool. And then in addition to that, and something that people may not realize, is that we're issued telephones now. All police officers that are issued a telephone, which allows us to do much of the same things. So sometimes you're in a car that has no computer, which we then have to rely on the access to information from our cell phone. So when people say, why are cops always on their phones when they're driving? Well, sometimes we're getting that information that would have been sent to a computer, which looks less bad, to our phones. So there you go. I'm trying to think of anything else that it'll do. It's not for video games.
No, not for TikTok?
I think they took Mindhunter away. What was it called? Minesweeper.
I have no idea. I have 0 games on my phones or my computers.
Minesweeper was like the Windows 95 worst game on the planet, where you'd click boxes and based on the numbers you could figure out where the safe. And the idea was to uncover the entire board without setting off the mines. I didn't really play it, but I know people who did. Yeah, Steve, what do we have here? Akela says that the highest insurance rates in Ontario, I'm assuming you mean, are in Brampton. And he's suggesting that that's because of a quality of driver there. And I can tell you that may be accurate, but there's a high in terms of that there's bad drivers. But I think it's not. There's lots of trucking going on there. There's lots of commercial vehicles on the move. There's wider roads, higher. I don't know why.
And insurance rates are calculated on so many different factors. So it's not just moving related collisions and that sort of thing. It's also theft rates and all sorts of things. So it's not that simple.
There's a lot going into it. Actuaries, math people, sciencey people, they have a large hand to play in that. So I don't know more. I know an actuary. That's as much as I know about actuarial work. Stephen Bell says, I see running through a red light. Expli on advanced green arrow. Expli? I'm not sure what you mean.
I don't know.
Let's see here. Okay. Roadside texts never get police help on roadside 401. If you were to call and say that you are doing, now I assume this is roadside texts, people who are responding to either commercial motor vehicles down, because that's usually trying to get them running again before calling a heavy tow, because those heavy tows are expensive. But if you call the police and say that you're in a bad spot, the vehicle's disabled, we need some assistance, could you send a car? They probably will. I know that we do that in Toronto. I can only assume the 401 with the OPP would do similar. If you're in a bad spot, you're in a bad spot, regardless if you're a tech or the person waiting for a tech. So I would suggest when you're talking to a driver, once you're disabled on the road, that's when you call police and say you're disabled, you're waiting for a tech or a tow. And you don't wait for the tech or tow to arrive. The individual driver should be notifying police of their location and the concern for safety. That would be my suggestion. Josh says, why can cops have huge ram bars in the front of the car which blocks front license plate from any angle but straight? But if I have a clear cover, like I'm the worst. Well, we actually have a legitimate purpose for having that ram bar, like for ramming. Although generally speaking, it's not for ramming. But there are times when intentional contact is a thing. So there's a functional reason to have it. We're also the police. We're looking for your license plate. You are rarely looking for ours. We're also clearly marked. But you're right. Technically, it's not legal to block the view of a license plate. And in the situation where that's blocked. Welcome back.
Yeah.
And in the situation where it's blocked, there should be better places. But again, we're the people looking for license plates, not being looked at. Not that that's an excuse. You're absolutely right that it's not to the letter of the law in some situations, but it is functional for the purposes of police. And there's lots of leeway with police. We're allowed to speed. We're allowed to do a bunch of things, and writing myself a ticket while I'm driving a police car doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'd like to see that get in front of justice.
I'm going to do a circle
That
check and
ticket.
then write myself a ticket.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not. We don't buy the cars. We don't make the. I mean, we as the officers, we are given equipment to utilize, and it's for a purpose, for a lawful purpose, and it's for public safety. But I appreciate that people don't like having tickets for clear covers, and I will tell you that having a clear cover is not a high priority for me. I don't run around looking for clear covers unless I cannot see your license plate. That's a different story. As I did this whole loop to loop, really, this is just a complaint about license plate covers.
Oh yeah, I know. A friend of mine has the same complaint as well, and that's how it is.
And then Josh says, "Why can't you just put the plate on the front of the bar so it's more visible?" That is something that can happen. I imagine it's because when you make contact with another vehicle, it'll then cause it to fall off, because we do use those push bars for pushing vehicles, and that might be a reason. I don't know the actual reason. I'm speculating.
Yeah, there are other people other than you guys who are guys and gals who are driving these vehicles who make those decisions for you.
Yeah, it is well above our pay grade, or my pay grade. Let's see here. We have, are we allowed to use lethal force in self-defense? The Criminal Code of Canada does say you can use as much force as necessary, and that may include taking a life. However, expect to be arrested, expect to have a trial. You may or may not have been justified to use lethal force. So you can't just say, you punched me in the face, I'm going to kill you. That doesn't work. That's actually against the law. But if you were in fear of your life and you thought the only way that you could survive that experience was to use lethal force, and then the law is on your side, but you're still going to be arrested. It's just a matter of, like, no one gives you a high five saying good on you. There's a process, and if there's no witnesses, no cameras, you might be in really hot water. So I would say the best advice, if you're in a situation which is, any kind of fight, altercation, is leave, run, disengage. Do not. Doesn't matter if you're a ninja or not. There's no point in doing it, because the goal is to not have you engaged. It's only last resort that you can use force, or at least lethal force.
Yeah, this is not Texas.
This is not Texas, and there is no stand your ground law like in some of the United States. It's very interesting. City News Montreal wants to know if we're. Are you the real City News Montreal, or are you City News Montreal, the not news? With 42 followers and 100, maybe. Well, we'll take you at your word. So City News Montreal, we are accepting new trainees. We are hiring. www.tps.ca/careers for all the information you ever wanted to know about all the positions that we are hiring for. And we are hiring for many of them, if not all. And check it out. And if you are interested in joining, we would love to hear from you. Recruiters standing by. Call now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Quite literally, we're constantly looking for good applicants. People who want to do who commit to a life of service. That's what this is. I'm going to move closer to the center of this camera. Okay, and then I have to move this camera so I can. Okay. No. Everything moves when I move things.
Looking good.
It's all buttoned down, nice and snug. So if I move my one arm here, then the whole apparatus with 2 monitors, 3 cameras, everything's moving. Can I do my G test with a cracked window? I don't think so. I think they'll reject you. I believe that they will reject you for an unsafe vehicle at that point. Yeah. And it is an obstruction to your view, so I think not. Jay says, tell Brian that it's a nice-looking Aston Martin in his background.
There are 4 of them there, actually. If I go this way.
Yes.
4, all shot at different times in the exact same spot on the exact same highway in California.
And did you take the pictures?
Of course. Yeah. And I've got 2 more. I think 2 more prints to do. I shot a Bentley there, and I shot a Corvette ZR1 there. Or sorry, we're in Canada, ZR1.
And just the reason you do that is because you were probably evaluating the cars.
Yeah, except for the red one in the photos there. All the others are in on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And the red one was very. That was a long time ago. It was a beautiful drive, and that was a story about going from LA to Palm Springs in the 4-door Aston.
What is your YouTube channel for anyone who wants to check these out? and we really have to figure out why this happens. But as soon as he went to answer, Brian, too close. Blair. Okay, Brian at Brian Max, YouTube.
Yes, there we
Brian,
go.
Brian Makse, Brian Max.
On all your favorite platforms.
Yes. Let's see here. We got AB Garb saying, greetings from Pompano Beach. Worried about our CRV. What's wrong? What's going on in Pompano Beach? What's going on with your CRV? I need to know more.
Yeah, exactly. CRVs are pretty solid crossovers. Something I typically recommend to people.
Yes, I don't fit in them, but they're nice.
Yeah. You would fit in the car that I'm driving this week.
Well, yes, but it doesn't fit in my budget.
Neither mine, but I'm still not. I've only driven it 100 kilometers, so I really don't know yet. But it's big, luxurious, fast.
What's the ticket price for that toy?
I still don't have it. I'm guessing near $200,000.
Ooh, yeah, that's not anything. I can't even save my pennies on the weekends for that.
Yeah, it's not it's a big, luxurious, fast electric sedan, and I'm sure they're going to sell a dozen of them.
Okay.
Who knows? It's a lovely car, but lots of fun electrics. But it is something that you would fit in, and you would enjoy the back seat as well. The massaging seats in all four places.
Ooh, fancy schmancy.
Yeah, you can watch TV in the back if that's your thing.
As long as it's not while you're driving, you're good to go.
No, there's no screen to watch TV in the front, but in the back there is.
Let's see here. It says here, I just a message popped up from Tinto Tozy, who's from Montreal. Says, can people drive when on medical marijuana?
Yeah.
No. You can't drive under the influence of drugs or alcohol, regardless if it's prescription. So if someone says you can get high as a kite legally, you can do that, but you can't get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. Any prescription drugs would be impairment is impairment, and that would make you unsafe. Yeah, but somebody else can drive you. You can be a passenger, but you can't drive.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of people, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of medications that you shouldn't be taking while driving. Yeah.
But DVP, when I'm driving home on the DVP, I smell a lot of marijuana. And
Yep.
A, you can't do it as a driver. B, you can't do it as a passenger. It shouldn't be something you smell on the highway, because no one on the highway should be doing it. And you can't even walk on the highway. There's nobody who can consume marijuana on the highway. It's not a thing.
No, not allowed.
No permiso. Shane Hollock says, summer tires in the winter, ? Are you covered by insurance, and is the car safe? Sorry, is there a car not safe to be on the road?
Well,
I hear what you're saying. So summer tires, are they prohibited from winter use? No. Are they useless in the winter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Technically, I can answer that. So as they get colder in temperature, they're meant to be used above whatever 810 C, and then they're meant to operate at a much higher temperature. Summer tires specifically. So they're meant to have heat generated in them, all that stuff. So as it gets colder, basically the tire gets harder. You lose grip. And then secondly, the construction of that tread is not designed to deal with snow and ice. It's meant to deal with a very smooth surface. So it's got lots of contact and lots of grip. Whereas you think about a winter tire, it's got lots of openings and sort of what do they call them, sipes in the tire, so that they stick to ice and snow a little bit better, and the tread is much more open, so that it can basically grab a hold of snow and give you some traction.
What's very interesting about winter tires is they're no good in the summer, not just because their compound is softer and it burns out faster, but it actually doesn't perform as well in water than it does snow. At least that's what I've read.
It's a little bit depending on the construction of the tire. Now, of course, I've driven on summer tires on occasion, or winter tires on occasion in the summer, and what happens is the reverse with winter tires. They're only meant to operate below 10C or 7C, whatever the case is. So when you get to 20, 30 degree ambient temperatures, let alone the road temperature that's been baking under the sun all day, what happens is that tire generates heat. It actually breaks down faster.
And the exciting conclusion to that.
Yes. So the tire compound itself actually breaks down and becomes a little bit greasy on the road surface. So you actually have less traction.
Wild. For anyone who doesn't know why we're laughing, Brian's connection keeps disconnecting, so we keep losing
Yeah.
him, and then he goes away mid sentence, and we don't know
Yes.
why it happens. So when that happens, it's now the inside joke or outside
Yes.
joke. It's the joke. We just laugh about it.
Yeah.
We have a question that's coming in from Skeet again. Well, Skeet again because he had another question, but anyway, is my work/company car? Oh, it was on my screen for too long. 5 minutes disappeared. Supposed to have a sticker. That was the question. And the answer is, it depends. A commercial motor vehicle over a certain... Well, commercial motor vehicles may require them. Vehicles over a certain weight, I think it's 3,000 kilos, require them. But most light trucks and personal vehicles would not require them. And I don't think that if it's owned by a company, if it was a sedan, would require a sticker in Ontario. It's just the commercial motor vehicles.
Yeah, there are of late, because of the sticker rules here in Ontario, a lot of test cars have been driving recently. They're owned by the manufacturer, have arrived with plates with no stickers on them whatsoever.
Newly plated, newly registered, no need.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see here. Ahmed asks, is this the guy from your TikTok who said they're tuning my car with a catless downpipe will blow up the engine?
So yes, this is a gentleman that goes back to our catalytic converter discussion, or addressing it. This gentleman wants that addressed, and that's not what I said, and I don't recommend it. And yes, my race cars come with 2 catalytic converters each. Each of them has 2 catalytic converters. They're brand new race cars. They have catalytic converters, and they're meant to work that way. It's not meant for emissions. They're meant to work that way.
So many people say, well, it doesn't ruin the car if you tune them to accommodate the change when you take them out. We're lying. We're spreading disinformation, they say.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's lots of backyard tuners. I happen to know professional grade tuners, and there are lots of considerations when it comes to tuning your engines, especially with catalytic converters. Especially modern engines are meant to run with them. So unless you're building an engine from scratch and designing it without a catalytic converter, you have to take that into consideration. You get your information from whatever tuner you want, but I guarantee you it's wrong. So there are a handful of really good tuners out there that understand this stuff, and there's way too many that just don't understand how to tune an engine properly.
Jace says or asks, what series of race car? Because I bet they're high flow cats that aren't commercial.
What was that question?
He says, what series of race car? Because I bet they have high flow cats that aren't commercially available.
It's IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge GS, and so this is a GT4 homologated car. It's a global specification. They compete in all sorts of areas and countries around the world that may or may not have emissions regulations, and our championship itself does not have specific emission regulations.
I totally messed that as I read somebody, Holly Smith wrote something about someone driving and parking on a frozen lake. But we'll get so I missed the last part of what you said because I squirreled.
That's okay. So our championship itself does not have specific emissions regulations. The car is produced as the car is produced. So we all we can do is basically change a handful of things, and that does not include tuning the engine. We can't touch it, and that of course includes the catalytic converters and the rest of the exhaust system. We can't touch anything.
So would that have a regular street cat the same as the one on a commercially, or would it be? It's not a catalytic converter that is high flow may be illegal for the road.
Yeah, of course. I haven't cross-referenced parts. I suppose I have some of that information. I have access to all the racing parts, but I don't have access to the road car parts. I wouldn't be surprised if they're exactly the same. Modern engines and from tip to tail are very robust, especially high performance engines. So I'm sure it's the same catalytic converter they use on the road cars.
The question, one of the questions I love the most when I get questions. This isn't on the topic of your race car, mind you, but they want to know what speed over the limit that speed cameras take pictures. Now, if I told you that.
Yeah.
If I told you that, it would be we just lost it, Brian, again. And Brian's back.
Yeah.
So if I told you what the speed limit was, or the speed differential, or the amount over the speed limit that it is required to trigger the camera, I imagine that would just become the speed that you would travel. So the answer is that it's the speed limit. don't go over the speed limit. The speed limit's there for you to not exceed. And if you'd like to know more about the speed camera system, check out TPS Traffic Jam episode 16. And there is a missing episode, episode 15. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened. But episode 16, the most recent episode, is the episode about traffic cameras, the automated speed enforcement. It's the team from the City of Toronto, and they are explaining things about that. So if you'd like to know more, watch that episode. It's available on YouTube, as well as audio-only versions available on anywhere that you get your podcasts. I'm always amazed at the people who want to know how much over the speed limit they can go before we give them a ticket. Let's see here. What do we have here? Cops scare me. Mikhail Melvin says cops scare. Why do cops scare you? If you're not doing anything wrong, cops aren't really interested in what you're doing. But we are here to help. So I hope that you follow us and stay tuned, because I'm a cop. He's not a cop, but he hangs out with cops. So
and not just here in Canada either. I have friends who are cops all over the place.
Because cops are actually not the people that the media sometimes portrays or the movies portray.
They're normal people.
People just trying to help people. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny
they have interesting jobs, but they're just normal people.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I like it when people think I have some kind of extra special power. It's not really. I mean, we have authority under the law when doing what we're doing, but I can't fly.
You kind of do, because you're like 7 feet tall, so you're always looking down on people.
It just means I take up more space. That's all it means. And I can't buy. The folks, I have friends that are vertically challenged, and they can buy clothes in the kids aisle. They don't even pay tax on their clothes. Like they have that's a superpower. They can buy any car they want because they can fit in all of them. That's superpower.
Yes.
Me, I have to spend $20,000 extra to find something I'm comfortable in.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
So I should go. I have to prepare for a podcast to talk about driving on the racetrack.
I will have to tune in and check it out later. I thank you for dropping in. Much appreciated. And Chase, I'll get to your voice volley. But Brian, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. And have a good
Looking
podcast.
forward to it.
Ciao for now.
Yes, thanks very much. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure. All right. He is gone, and we are back to focusing on you. I feel so bad. I said, come on down. We're going to have this wide-angle people on TikTok. It'll work. It didn't work. But anyway. Chase has a voice volley that we missed. We went right by. A Miata. Jace wants to know how I fit in a Miata. It's pretty sad. I've been in a Miata. I got into one at a car show. I can move back over here. I got into one at a car show, and when I did that, it was they had to take the roof off for me to get out of it. I was very stuck. Okay. Let's see what he says.
So the exception for the handheld communication device law says you have to be legally parked on the roadway or off the roadway. So if I pull off to the shoulder on a highway or street, you can use your phone legally since it's not on the roadway?
The roadway, so the deal is that it's anywhere you can legally park. You cannot legally park on a shoulder of a highway. That's not legal. So you can legally park somewhere that you could get out of your car, walk away, come back to it, and not get a parking ticket. Legally park. That's the description I like to give, because it's accurate. There's no question. If you are just pulling over to the side of the road and it's a no stopping zone, you can get a ticket for using your handheld communication device. Big breath. That was a lot of words. That's the deal. If you're anywhere that you could get a ticket for parking there, you are obstructing traffic, you are causing an issue, you are eligible for a ticket. Okay. Oh, Shane says the new Bronco can fit someone up to 7'1". I've sat in it. It's not wide. I'm a big guy. I'm a wide guy as much as I am a tall guy, and my arms were just like I'd have to roll the windows down to be comfortable. It was a little cramped. What are the requirements to become a police officer? There are many. You have to have your OACP certificate in Ontario. Other places may have different requirements. You have to pass a physical test, an academic test, a psychological test. You have to be medically capable of healthy enough to pass a medical fitness check. Vision requirements, like there's tests for everything. It's a lot of testing, but you can do it. Check out www.tps.ca/careers. careers. That'll give you all the information about all the jobs, not only the police jobs, but the uniform civilian jobs like special constable, parking. There are jobs that are administrative. There's tons of different jobs. We're hiring good people who want to do good work, who want to serve their communities in different capacities. Check it out and talk to a recruiter. If you're interested, you can do it. What is this? Can cops stop you for no reason while driving? Yes. Yes, they can. I mean, there is a reason, but and that reason is when you're driving a motor vehicle in the province of Ontario, we can stop you to ensure that you're a licensed driver. We don't need you to make a boo-boo to make sure that to check you to make sure you have a license. Equally, we can stop you to make sure that you have insurance. Don't need you to make a mistake on the road. You don't have to commit an offense for us to check your insurance status. We can also pull you over to check if you are impaired. You don't have to be weaving all over the road for us to do a check. And in fact, where it used to be that we had to have suspicion based on your admission of consumption of alcohol or an odor of alcoholic beverage, emanating from your breath, we don't need that suspicion anymore. We can demand for anybody operating a motor vehicle or conveyance that you provide a breath sample. And if you refuse that breath sample, you can be arrested. So, yeah. Let's see here. So Chase says, follow-up, he says, the motor vehicle is off the roadway or is lawfully parked on the roadway. If you drive on the shoulder, you can get charged with driving off the roadway. How can you get a phone ticket there? Well, it's still the highway. The highway goes right up until the sidewalk, so you're still covered under the law. The roadway is the actively driven part, but you get into the minutia. You have triable discussion if you get charged. But if you are on the sidewalk, this is a problem. You're not legally allowed to park there. If it doesn't say lawfully parked off the roadway. You can't lawfully park off. Well, you can lawfully park on private property. That's a good place to park. All right, moving along. Don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. Victim of road rage. Can we record using phone? Not while you're driving, not legally. You're using your handheld communication device to do that, and that could be a ticket. It could also cause a collision. If you want to have recordings of the unsavory, the unsavory people who are, involved with, driving while, and aggressively, get a dash cam. Get a low-cost dash cam. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but that's going to be something that will safely record the experience for you. Okay. What else we got? If you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. I go onto social media Monday to Friday to talk to you about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. I answer your questions. It's called Ask a Traffic Cop for a reason. You ask the questions, we answer them. And if we don't know, we don't know, but we usually know, or we know somebody who knows. So one way or another, we get you answers. This week, it is a 3-day week. Why? Because I'm getting on a plane, and I'm going to Los Angeles. And I get there, I'm going to have dinner with there's a reunion dinner for the California Highway Patrol based show called CHIPS from the 70s and 80s. It's probably the biggest influencer, taking me to a path of law enforcement, and I loved the show. So I got an opportunity to go and have dinner, and then bowling. I'm going bowling with the cast of CHIPS, Eric Estrada and Larry Wilcox. Yeah, we're gonna do some bowling. It's a buffet too, but bowling's where it's at. I'm not a big bowler, but I am looking forward to going. Okay. Yeah, so it won't be a show on Thursday or Friday. That is what's happening. If you purchase alcohol, does it go in the trunk? It can go in the trunk. If it's sealed alcohol from the store, sealed from factory, it could be anywhere in the vehicle. I personally want packages, things that could get stuck under brake pedals or interfere with your ability to safely operate the vehicle. I think they should be way away from the driver compartment. But if the alcohol had been opened, if it had been opened and closed, the seal was not intact, then it has to be outside of reach from the driver, and at which point the trunk is the best place. That also applies for marijuana, because you can't transport marijuana that is unsealed anywhere. You can't put it in your pocket and drive. That is not legal. And of course, you can't consume drugs or alcohol in a motor vehicle regardless of who is driving. Okay. Can officers give tickets for not intended stop? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? What is an intended stop? Do you mean when I pull you over for speeding, can I give you a ticket for license plate? Or do you mean, I don't know what a not intended stop is. So you need to clarify for me because I want to give you an answer, but I need to understand the question. What percentage of tint can you have on your car? The answer is, well, there's a legal limit or maximum for certification, and then there's can you obscure the interior of your vehicle. See, for certification and deeming your vehicle safe or unsafe, you can have no more than 30% light blockage of the windows left and right of the driver. You can have nothing on the front windshield, and you can go dark as you want on the back because you don't even have to have windows in the back. That being said, if your vehicle has 30% and it's safety certifiable, but I can't see in, I can't see if you're wearing a seatbelt, I can't identify the driver, I can't make eye contact, that's too dark, and I can give you a ticket under a different section. So if it's more than 30%, I can take your vehicle off the road out of service for unsafe vehicle. I can take your license plates and you can get towed home. Or if it is simply a situation where I don't think it's over that safety limit, but it is preventing me from seeing inside, well, then I can give you a ticket for $110 for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle with color or reflective tint. You can't have reflective tint. You cannot prevent people from seeing in. Picking your nose in private ain't a thing. How often do people get tickets for 10 over on the highway? I don't know, because the highway you're probably referring to is the 401. I don't know any statistics about the OPP issuing tickets. I know you'll get a ticket for 20 over, but it all depends, because the average speed on that highway seems to be 120. And that means that everybody is eligible for a ticket, and everyone should get a ticket, because that is adding 20% over the speed limit, and it's incredibly unsafe. There's not enough police on the road to stop everybody at the same time, so they tend to prioritize who they're pulling over. And I'm speaking for police officers everywhere, not just the OPP. So obviously there are people who do 5 over, 10 over, and if no one's doing 5 or 10 over, and you're the only one, expect to get pulled over because you're the one breaking the law. If everyone's doing 110 and it's safe, maybe someone's going to get pulled over for 115 because you're the outlier. The truth is, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's over the limit, it's wrong. And you're increasing your odds of collision, you're increasing your odds of serious injury, and the odds of killing somebody. Now, people say, wow, 10 kilometers over, no big deal. In Australia, they did something called wipe 5 off. The speed limit is 60. People were doing 65. They did stats or experiments to see the difference of impact, the difference of just reducing those 5 kilometers. And they found overwhelmingly that pedestrians would survive more often than not if they were struck at a vehicle just going 5 kilometers slower. So speed matters. People want to make arguments because they want to go fast, and those arguments, well, they really don't matter, because it's just people whining about wanting to speed. They're not looking at the science or the safety of it. They just, wah, 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 I want to go fast. I left late. I need to get to work. The truth is, you don't get anywhere really any faster. You burn more gas. You run down your brakes, but you're not actually getting there. How do I know that? No science involved. I just watch all the morons that pass me, and then I get to the same light at the same time. And then guess what? They accelerate hard on the gas. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And at the next lights, I see them again. They're morons. Can the police lie to you? Depends on the situation, but there are circumstances where lying to you might be, like in an undercover sting. I'm not going to walk up and say, hi, I'm a police officer, can I buy some drugs? And then arrest you, because it's not going to go anywhere. So in those situations, they're going to lie to you. They're going to tell you that they're not a police officer. They're going to try and buy drugs from you. And if you sell drugs to them, bingo, bango, you're under arrest. So, yeah, there are times when police will lie to you. But it's not something that I think is relevant. Like, I'm not going to lie to you and say that you were speeding when you weren't. I have to establish all these things in court. I'm not going to lie because it's my good name that I am protecting. Valerie No Filter says cops always lie to you. Valerie apparently has some negative impact. And Valerie says this cop literally gets paid to be in social media and talk about traffic. Stop. Valerie, if you don't like it, you can move on. You don't need to be here if you don't want to be. Everybody else can be here. Now, you're on Instagram. We're currently broadcasting to hundreds of people on TikTok and people across the platforms. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. You're on Instagram. Instagram doesn't matter. How fast do you have to go for you? What is it? Oh, how fast do you have to go to take the car? We take the car when you stunt drive. So when you stunt drive, the threshold for that, if the speed limit is under 80 kilometers an hour, so if you're in a 60 zone, a 40 zone, a 30 zone, 40 kilometers over the posted limit is stunt driving. I think it should be much less, but apparently they don't agree with me. So, 40 kilometers over is stunt driving. You get a 30-day suspension on your license. You get a 14-day vehicle impound. Once you are convicted, you get a further 1 to 3 year driving suspension and a $2,000 to $10,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. That's for that offense. If you are in an area that has a speed limit over 80, then it is 50 kilometers over, or anywhere over 150 kilometers. So if you're at 150 kilometers an hour or more, that's anywhere, regardless of the speed limit. If the speed limit was 149 and you did 150, that would be stunt driving. There's nowhere do we have 149 speed limit, but 110 speed limit in some areas. If you're doing 150, it's only 40 over. However, it's still stunt driving. Caleb says, I learned a lot from you. Thank you. Well, you're very welcome, Caleb. Thanks for hanging out. We got some more time yet. We got time. We're gonna go a little long today. Not only because we spent some time with Brian that took away some question and answer time from you, but also because that's actually a good reason. That's a good reason. Also because we're not going to be here Thursday and Friday. But you can follow my adventures to Los Angeles. Go to VoiceOver Cop, or you can go to trafficcop.ca, and you can follow my adventures on the VoiceOver Cop channel. I'll do updates and stuff on traffic services, but seeing as that it's not our regular format stuff and it's more about my adventures with Chips, we'll do it on the other channel. Can you pass someone on the road with one yellow line? So a solid yellow line suggests that you shouldn't, and there are places where it would be unsafe. Can you do it? There's no law against crossing a line in Ontario. There may be signage that says don't do it, at which point you'd be violating the signs authority, not the lines authority. So it depends, but take caution, because if you choose to cross that line and you cause a collision, that's one more piece of evidence to be used against you. Laws on window tint, we talked about this a little while ago, but I'll briefly readdress it. You can't have tint that makes it impossible for us to see inside. Additionally, there is a tint level that would be considered unsafe for the road. You'd lose your license plates. 30% light blockage, meaning 70% of the light has to get through. That is what's required for vehicle safety. That's for the windows directly left and right of the driver on in a motor vehicle. Windshield can't have any, save and except for 3 inches at the top of the screen, top of the windshield, if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. If it's 2017, you can't have any tint on the front windshield, which also leads me to talk about banners, stickers that are obscuring any area that the windshield wipers wipe. To me, is an obstruction of the driver's view, and you would be ticketed for that as well. Also, if I didn't mention already, if your vehicle is deemed unsafe due to tint, we'll pull your license plates. You'll get towed. I may have said that already. I've talked about this a couple times during the hour. Is driving slow in the left lane a ticketable offense? It's unnecessary slow driving. According to the OPP, there's an offense for being in the left lane or not pulling right if you're not actively passing. We have this discussion back and forth. I think it's lawful as long as you were traveling at the speed limit and not obscuring traffic or what's it called, interfering with traffic. But if traffic wants to go faster than the speed limit, then I think they should all learn some patience. I would happily take everyone's license who is speeding. I would not ticket the person me personally, would not ticket the person who is lawfully driving at the limit, because when someone's breaking the law, they should have no privileges at all. They shouldn't be on the road. I know this is not a popular thing to say because many people like to speed, but you are making the roads unsafe for others, and for that, you deserve no benefit. There's my popular preach, or not popular preach. All right. Jace apparently has a Miata. Wants to see how I fit in the car with bucket seats. Probably not good. Akela's got to take off, but he wishes everybody a good day. Let's continue. Do you check if a safety is legit when pulling over? We don't generally check safety certificates unless there's obvious concerns for the safety of the vehicle, at which point we would do a safety inspection and have that authority. Additionally, if a vehicle is not yet registered, we'll look for a safety certificate. Like if you're transporting it on a 10-day permit and the thing doesn't look like it's safe, but you're temporarily driving on paperwork that supports that, you do need to have a valid safety certificate. Oh, he's got an RX-8. Yeah, I don't think so. So Jace was asking if I'd fit into his RX-8 with bucket seats. I tried to get into whatever Brian was reviewing last. It was a fancy schmancy BMW racing M something CLS. I don't know. I couldn't actually fit in the bucket. My butt was too wide. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5". I don't fit in small in small seats or small cars. No. Do city officers not like the OPP and vice versa? No, we're all on the same team doing the same thing, making people, holding people accountable for their actions, keeping communities safe. We are police officers, and we all are working towards a common goal. So no animosity that I'm aware of. And if they're holding grudge against us, then they've never mentioned it. They're cool. I got a lot of friends with the OPP. Let's see here. AB Garb says, Officer Shapiro, is my CRV safe locked in my North York driveway? The auto theft in the GTA seems to be out of control. Oh, I get you. So you are from Ontario, from North York in particular, and you've left your vehicle behind, and you want to know if it's safe in your garage. I don't know. I've heard about many, many thefts in recent time. I don't know if your vehicle is a target, but being in a garage, you're probably in a good place. Things you can do before leaving a vehicle to make it more difficult to steal. You can do things like, disconnect the battery, use a club, even if it's in the garage. Anything you can do to make it more difficult. Have people check on the house. Have timers on your lights. All those old school things that people do. Have video cameras. Have automatic lights. Again, things from video cameras may not have been a thing in the 70s and 80s, but certainly timers. I grew up in a house where timers and lights went on because you wanted to make it look like somebody was home all the time. What happens if you have a G2 but no insurance? Well, any vehicle being operated on a road in Ontario must have insurance. If you don't have insurance, you are not allowed to drive. Now, if you don't have insurance because you don't own a car, but you want to borrow or rent a vehicle, well, that's okay as long as the vehicle you're borrowing or renting has insurance. In Ontario, it's the vehicle insured, not you. But, and I have a video about this from last week or so, if you're borrowing a vehicle and you live with that person, like if it's mom or dad's car, as an example, you live with them, the insurance company may have a line in the clause in their contract that says if you live with them, they have to have you listed as an occasional driver, and if you violate that, they could deny your insurance claim. So know before you go. How long does a written warning stay on your record? Written warnings aren't on your record; they're in our database, and they're there forever. So if you get a warning for, tinted windows, and we pull you over again, and you have tinted windows, from now till the end of time, we'll probably know about your tinted window warning. It's not something that gets reported to the Ministry of Transportation, though. It would be independent to our police service, possibly shared with other police services that share information with us, but it's not part of your record. It's part of our database. Do you have to change to the new blue license plates? The new blue license plates are no longer being issued. So no, you don't have to switch to those because I think people are going to have to switch back. What can I do with my full G? I'm only 17, by the way. License was, I did a video this morning that went out about full G, and it basically just means you can drive anywhere and you have no restrictions except for at your age and until you are 22 years old, you must maintain a 0 BAC as a young driver. You have to be 22 before you are permitted to have more than 0. Now, once you hit 0.05, you're still going to get a suspension. 3 days in the first time, and if you get another one within 10 years, you're going to get a 7-day suspension. It's called a roadside suspension or an ADLS suspension based on a what's it called? A roadside screening device. It's for basically doing a alcohol test at the side of the road. So if we think you have alcohol, or if we're just doing a test, anything in your system, drugs or alcohol, you're going to lose your license. At very least for a suspension period. Now, once you turn 22, you can have up to 0.05, although it's not suggested because that could be a level of an impairment for you. You should know drugs and alcohol when you're driving. But moving on, at 0.08, you get arrested for impaired driving. But if you are 17, you cannot have any. And I just went down the rabbit hole. Okay. Does the driver get issued the ticket for open alcohol? Yes. I think both the driver and passengers can be charged. I've not laid the charge. I've never come across someone with open alcohol. In all my years on the road, never had anybody with open alcohol. Although I should probably get people to start pulling over limos because there's probably open alcohol there. And if you do have a limo, don't make them or push them or coerce them to allow you to do things you're not allowed to do. They're going to get in trouble. You'll probably get in trouble too. Can a speeding ticket disappear from your record? So there's a current record and there's a lifetime record. Your lifetime record, your abstract, will always be there. Your current record, the stuff that your insurance company sees, they only see it for 3 years from the date of conviction. All right. Did they change it recently? I thought it was 21. Ethan McDonald wants to know. It's over 21. So 21, you cannot drive with alcohol in your system. 22, you can. Weird, huh? Just like you can have, they word it where it's under 20 for restrictions on a G2. So you can have one passenger under 20 because 20 is when it becomes legal. So over 20, it's just poor choice of words. They should just say 22 or older, but they don't. They say it's over 21. And people think, well, that means when I'm 21, I can drink. No, it's not. 21 is not the age you can drink. It's 22. What do we have here? Can someone else put insurance on the vehicle? As long as they disclose who's driving it and they approve it and they're content with it. But if you own a vehicle and somebody else insures it, but you're not listed as a driver, that's a problem. That could be insurance fraud. That could be a lot of things. You need to be, if it's your car and you're driving it, they're going to want to know who's driving it. Can you drive in the center lane on the 401 or the QEW when you're driving the speed limit? You certainly should, because it's the speed limit. No one should be exceeding the speed limit, ever, at all. I wonder if a car could just be disabled. As soon as you speed, it should be taken out of service. You no longer have it. Crush the car. Seize the car. No one should speed. It boggles the mind that people who are driving the limit are punished for morons who want to speed. I say moron. It's my new word. I was calling them bozos before. Today I say moron. Same thing. Let's see here. If I were to get a DUI and get a blow box, am I allowed to drive a vehicle without a blow box or only allowed to drive a car with it? So there's something called the interlock system. If you are convicted, you are going to see suspensions that are long-term prohibitions of driving, a year or more. If you are eligible or you choose to get into the program, so it would be a year plus a year if the courts, you can get into a program, the interlock program, and get back to driving sooner. But then, yes, you have a restriction, an I designation on your license, and you can only operate a vehicle that is enabled with an interlock device. And if you were to drive one that didn't have the interlock, that vehicle would be impounded. I've impounded vehicles from rental vehicles. Guy drives his Mercedes to the shop, which he shouldn't have been driving. Or maybe if he was on an interlock program, his Mercedes with the interlock was delivered to the mechanics for service. They gave him a loaner. He drove the loaner, and he got a ticket. And not only did he get a ticket, but that car was impounded, and he had to pay the rental fee for that while it was impounded. No good. No good. Full G license. Could I drive in the USA? I'm 17, by the way. Ryan Walsh. So full G license, you can drive anywhere, but you must maintain the conditions. So if you're in the United States, you're 17, it means you're under 22, which means you cannot have any alcohol in your system. Armani just found out how to get muted. What a stupid thing to say. I have a court date, but decided to pay the ticket. I don't know if you can pay the ticket once it's already processed for court. I'm not sure how that works. That is a court's question. What's the fine for tinted plate covers? $110. Don't have tinted plate covers. It's $110 for tinted covers, frames. Can't obscure any portion of the license plate, tinted or clear. Still an offense. How do you deal with slow left laners? What is a slow left laner? If there's someone going beneath the speed limit, that's an issue. If they're going at the speed limit, it's really not an issue. The issue is the person who wants to pass them, because there's no need to pass them. You're not allowed to exceed the speed limit even when you're passing. But you know what? I try and safely move around them. Some of them are just out to lunch. And there are people who are out to lunch driving, and they're way slow and dangerous in the left lane. And now, as a police officer, I would charge them. If you're unnecessarily slow driving, if you're impacting everybody else on the road, yeah, you might find yourself being charged. Oh, this is a good question by M. And Emma, I haven't spoken to you in a while, but I know where this is going. Let's say someone's visiting you from the States. Let's say they say, use my car. Let's say you get pulled over. That vehicle is something you cannot operate as an Ontario driver. You cannot drive an American car here. That car could be seized. That car would potentially have tremendous fines levied. I'll give you the example. Now, according to the RCMP, which gave me the authority to seize the last car that I investigated for this, it's a violation of a tax act, where essentially vehicles being imported for use here must pay taxes. Canadian driver can drive an American car in the United States. An American driver can drive a Canadian car here. They can drive their own American car here, but you cannot drive their car. Very unpopular position, but here's the deal. Guy gets his daughter, who has a Florida registered vehicle, to write him a note. They get it notarized. My dad can use this car in Canada. They drive this BMW to Canada, and he uses it. Now, this is 2014. It was 2012 that the notarized document. So I knew 2 years it had been in Canada. Obviously, it was not just a drive around the block to get the milk situation. He was using it as a daily driver. And I understand your question is different. The person's coming back and forth, and it's just the vehicle that's at the end of the driveway. According to the RCMP, you just can't do it. But anyway, that vehicle was impounded. It was impounded and seized by the RCMP and held pending investigation. They determined that the fine was like 25 grand for having brought. It was enormous. I wish I still had the email. I got a feedback form saying, hey, just so you know, this is what the outcome of that investigation was. They had the option of paying the fine, paying the tax, keeping the car in Canada, or paying the fine and the tow charge to the border. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And you're very welcome. Let's see here. What about U-Hauls registered in Arizona? Arizona has specific laws. Arizona and the vehicles that are rented here are apparently under some loophole. But that is a different story. They are not permanently here. And truly, they're a unique situation. And there's a lot of question as to whether that's the right thing to do. But yeah. They have different laws for Arizona. And U-Haul, yeah, I don't get it. What do we have here? Ride programs more chatty with females. Why? I'm not aware of this. I can't say more chatty, not chatty with any which way. Everyone's going to be chatty. Now, how would you know they're more chatty with females? Are you suggesting that you've driven through as a male and a female and you were chatted up one way differently than the other? I don't know how you'd make that observation. How to sell my car when Service Ontario is closed. My suggestion is wait until Service Ontario is open, as a seller especially, because if someone buys your car and chooses to drive away with the intention, they filled out the green document, they signed it up, you got a doc, and they never change it into your name, guess who's responsible if something happens and that vehicle is impounded? Under the Storage and Liens Act, I believe is what it's called, you, the previous on-record owner, maintains responsibility. So let's say they go stunt driving. And let's say they never changed the ownership to their name. It gets impounded, and they don't care because they walk away from it. It was only $500, just making up numbers. Well, after a period of time, they're going to be notifying you to say you're responsible for the towing impound. I would not sell my vehicle unless I was at the location, making the transaction in front of them. I don't believe in doing it the other way. And you can go make a declaration that you sold the vehicle, but the best way to do it would be in person. So it's not convenient, but it is the best way to go. Can I drive an American car on a road trip with the owner? You can. You can drive when you're traveling. You can rent a car or borrow a car. It's different. And really, the real reason is because for long-term use. That's the intention. But know that it could go that way, that you're technically not permitted to. Laws in the United States on a road trip different, and with the owner for sure. I see no issue. No one's going to say you were trying to circumvent tax laws when being the passenger with the owner. I think that would be the way to go. But I'm telling you from my interpretation and my understanding and experience, not from having read the laws, and I don't have the authority without being given that authority by the RCMP. So it's not a regular thing. Do CB radios fall under the Distracted Driving Act? Yes, they do. Any handheld communication device, that is one of them. However, ham radios, amateur radios, those are covered by an exemption. If you're a licensed operator of amateur radios, you're allowed to use your amateur radio. CB radio, citizens band, no license required, and they are not covered. Now, if you had a push-to-talk that was, let's say, mounted somewhere, and it wasn't a handheld device, you just pushed a button on your dash, and that activated your PTT, that would be okay. If you wore a headset, if you had a speakerphone kind of contraption, that would be okay. Do convicted demerit points change from G2 to G? No, they're still the same. Your points don't go away any faster because you got a new license. The deal is that you would just be allowed to have more of them before you got a suspension. But you need to know, as a G1 or G2 driver, as a novice driver, you are going to lose your license if you get a 4-point ticket. You immediately lose your license for 30 days, 90 days on your second. You get kicked out of the graduated licensing program on your third. What's the penalty for disobeying Novice 1 restriction? So G1 restriction? I just said it. You get a ticket with 4 points, or I think if you hit 6 or 9 points or 7 points, I don't know what it is now. Talked about too many points. But you lose your license for 30, 90, then you get kicked out. Will Tow Zone pilot project take over all highways? Ask the OPP. I have no idea. That's an OPP project, not a Toronto Police project. We've got our own contracts in place. And we don't do the highways, not those highways anyway. How do red light cameras work? If you go through a red light without stopping, they take your picture. More technology and more explanation of how it works might be. I don't remember if we covered the minutia of how they function, but check out TPS Traffic Jam. It's a podcast that is on our YouTube channel, with video, of course. And if you want to listen to it anywhere podcasts are available, you can download TPS Traffic Jam. Subscribe, and then you can listen to it while you're driving. What you lower your car? I don't lower my car. Do you mean how low can I lower my car? There is apparently 1.5 inches lower than stock is what's legal, but we don't measure based on stock because I have no idea what stock is. We look for what's safe. So if there's contact with body or frame with the tire or wheel, that's a problem, and we pull you off the road for unsafe. Are you selling the traffic lights behind you? No, they're mine. They're the services. I'm never letting them go until I leave, and they can do whatever they want with them. But actually, they weigh a ton. It's a set of 2. There's another one down in the lobby. Girlfriend was 2 minutes behind me. We were on the phone. I don't know. Maybe they were more interesting. So this is a follow-up to why do police have more to say to females versus males? And again, this is not a good example because one person might have just been friendlier. Maybe you're not, a conversationalist. I don't know. But I think you need to look at a much larger polling to determine if it's a thing or not. Maybe it was that officer. Don't know. Volley. Does Volley have a message? Thanks for the call out. The statement is, Novice 1 is a Saskatchewan basically sits between your G1 and G2 restrictions in Ontario. So Novice 1, the person asking about Novice 1, I don't know what a Novice 1, I mean, I know what he just told me the Novice 1 is. I don't know how that correlates to Ontario, because if it's in between a G1 and a G2, that may not be valid. Like if you still require a supervising driver, it's not valid here. G1s aren't valid outside of Ontario. G2 is the lowest that's available or is accepted outside. So if your Novice 1 does not meet the equivalent of a G2, it's, I'm going to assume, not valid in Ontario. If I get hit and run, do I chase the hitter? Chase, I would not suggest. Call police with a description and a license plate. Yes, you do. If they're drunk and they're on foot, good description. Call the police. Don't chase people down dark alleys in the middle of the night or whenever. It's unsafe. And if they left their car, we have a good clue as to who they are. Can I drive with a G1? Yeah, assuming that you're being supervised by a qualified G licensed holder who has at least 4 years experience behind the wheel of a car that is acknowledged by the Ministry of Transportation by giving them 4 dots in the bottom right-hand corner of their license. You drive without that, you're an unlicensed driver because your license is conditional. It allows you only to operate while you're being accompanied by a qualified driver. So you're alone, you're not, you're going to get charged, you're going to be walking home. Vehicle is going to get towed more than likely, unless we can find someone who's licensed to drive it. And that even includes if you had someone who has a G license beside you, but they don't qualify. You're an your drive G1 unaccompanied. That's what the charge would be. Michael is sending us a volley. I'm curious to see what he's going to say. What are the restrictions for car meets in Ontario? As far as I know, it's don't be stupid, don't break the law, and everything else is fine. Like there's no law against car meets. It's a law about breaking laws. Obviously, no stunting. Hi, how are you? Watch your live at school. Thanks, Billy. I'm glad that you're popping in to say hello. Appreciate it. What car mods are illegal? Oh, the list is forever long. Anything that's unsafe. There's so many things that are illegal. Basically, once you start modifying a car from stock, you run the risk of doing something you're not allowed to do. So I would suggest relying on a trusted mechanic to lead you. And for anyone who's interested, the 4 dots we keep talking about, thanks to Michael who sent the picture, these are the 4 dots we're talking about. If your license doesn't have them, in the bottom right-hand corner to the left of your mini-me photo, you are not qualified to operate or to be a supervising driver. Let's see here. What is the difference between a peace officer and a city cop? Well, okay, police officer is a peace officer, but so is the mayor. A document server is a peace officer for the purposes of while in the process of doing their job. A parking enforcement officer is a peace officer, but they're not police officers. So when you're talking, it depends. It's for the purposes of laying charges against someone when they're assaulted. For the most part, there's other legal purposes for that name. But a police officer is a police officer, whether they're OPP, municipal, they're police officers. Jurisdictional boundaries may be different, but even then, I'm a Toronto officer, but I have police powers all across the province of Ontario. So does an OPP officer who is provincial. Our CMP officer, however, has powers of policing outside of the province and across Canada. And that's usually the biggest difference. What's this? Are aftermarket exhaust systems illegal? Not necessarily. Some of them could be legal if they conform to the regulation. Dad jokes. I'm behind in my dad jokes. Moto Windsor says, can I drive a U.S. rental car in Canada? I'd have to look at the contract. You need to look at the contract on that. It's a rental car, so it's understood that it's not being used here without paying taxes. It's not even owned by. Yeah, I would assume so because it's part of your trip, but that's explainable. Interesting, though. January 13th is from last week. I did this one already. I read it. Dad, are you all right? No, I'm half left and half right. Okay. Cheesy dad joke. The one from Saturday and Sunday, because I didn't do one yesterday. So we've got the Saturday, Sunday, we got Mondays, and we got today's. So, joke 1 from the weekend. There's only one way to my heart. A scalpel and a bone saw. That was very cheesy. I mean, it's true. I'm so mad at you for making me skate on this frozen lake. You and I are on thin ice. That was garbage. It's just. I don't think it was good. I have a couple here that are outside of my calendar, but I'll leave those for when I'm back, which will be on Monday. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll do them tomorrow. Yeah, we'll catch up. That's what we'll do. I'll read Mondays. A book I was reaching for at the library fell on my head. I only have my shelf to blame. Really cheesy. I mean, I shouldn't be expecting more from a dad joke, I guess. But anyway. The January 17th calendar entry joke says, question, why do cats hate outer space? Because they don't like vacuums. My God. Yes, these sucked. Okay. I mean, I still appreciate them because my wife bought them for me, and she's magical, so they're magical. But there were better jokes in this deck. The ones tomorrow, we'll have three for tomorrow, or maybe we'll just read them right into the weekend. We have a couple of jokes for tomorrow. Why is the stunting ticket so expensive? If it wasn't expensive, you'd probably just pay it and keep going. The idea is to make it cost prohibitive. The idea is to change either prevent the offense from taking place in the first place by making it high risk, like not wanting to get caught because you're going to get a ridiculously high ticket. And if you do get caught, to make it so expensive that not only does it cost you a lot of money and hurt every time you think about it, but it reminds you forever that you don't want to do it again. So, why is stunting tickets so expensive? Maybe they're not expensive enough. $2,000 to $10,000 is the range. Is that enough? Repeat offenders, it goes up. You might even get a lifetime ban from driving. Like, the idea is just don't stunt drive. The idea is to give you a ticket price that shocks you and scares you and keeps you on the what is it, the straight and narrow. Yeah. Are radar detectors legal? No, not in Ontario. You can't buy them, sell them, transport them, use them, nothing. That also applies to jammers. The offense comes with a $170 fine, 2 demerit points, and we seize the device. We have search authority. We can go through your vehicle and the persons in the vehicle to look for them if we believe you have one. Believe you have one. Do stolen cars far away get returned to the owners? I don't know. Most often, I just heard about one that was in Italy. It was located in Italy. The vehicle owner was already paid back. So now it's a situation of the insurance company doing what they want to do with it. It becomes theirs. Maybe they sell it there. Don't know. Here's somebody. He says, why are Canadian taxes paying you to waste your time? I'm not wasting my time. And if you think I am, you're not paying attention. I'm educating. Yeah, there were a couple of dad jokes there. That's called entertainment. A pause from the answering of traffic and police questions. Being a traffic educator, yeah, you got to blow off your steam once in a while with some pathetic bad dad jokes. But no, we're here every day to answer traffic and police questions. It's a tremendous way of communicating with our community, helping people out all the time. People have questions. How do they get answers? Well, you can call a police station. You can try and get someone who knows the answer, or you can speak to a traffic safety educator, an expert, and I get to say that, in traffic safety and traffic law. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not telling you how to fight a law. I'm telling you what I'm going to charge you with if you break the law. It's very different. I'm not trying to give you advice. I'm telling you what it is so you can avoid doing it. I'm trying to save you the heartache of being charged or killing somebody. Because traffic safety is the primary goal, but education to reduce the chance of you getting into trouble for things you didn't understand. And if you're asking this question, you probably don't understand a lot. That's not me trying to be mean. If you don't see the value here, you're not picking up what I'm putting down. All right. Why did the Scarecrow win the Nobel Prize? Because he was outstanding in his field. Thanks, Akela. Very nice. That's excellent. That was better than all these ones. Yeah. Oh, I think I have one. Hang on a second. Andy made a suggestion. Let's see if I can find it. Let me hang on one second. Now, I was looking for a laugh track. He says I need a laugh track for these dad jokes. I thought I had one stored on my on the pad, but alas, I did not. What do I have? What is this one? That's useless. Maybe I should make that one a laugh. What are the consequences for high driving? It's the same as the consequences for impaired driving. You're going to get yourself a suspension. You're going to get 90-day suspension right away. You're going to be criminally charged. It comes with that suspension. You're going to get towed and impounded. And then what happens in court? Well, it's a criminal offense. Let's see. Is it going to be something that because they're not coming to mind. It's been a long time since I've repeated this, and I get them often conflated with the stunt stuff. So I don't want to give you the wrong thing. Let's look at here. We have criminal code. We have impaired. Operation while impaired. Okay. Let's look up. Do I even have the sentencing stuff here? Operates a conveyance. Okay. I don't see the consequences. And there are a lot. Let's see here. This is section 320.14. Let me see if I can look it up for you. Because now I want to know. I mean, and I know this stuff, but I don't know this. I just don't want to give the wrong numbers. 320.14. Here we go. 13 gives you punishment. Everyone who commits the offense who operates a conveyance in a manner that, having regard to all circumstances, is dangerous to the public. That's operation cause bodily harm, causing death, operation while impaired. Okay. I'm looking for exception, failure to comply. Only one. I'm still not seeing it. It says offenses and punishment, but I don't see the punishment. It just talks about the. It literally says punishment, and then I can't find it. So there's obviously a continuation to another section. Come on. Next page. Maybe try next page. No. Yes. Maybe. Punishment. Every person who commits an offense under this section, an indictable offense, and liable to imprisonment for a term not more than 10 years, and to a minimum punishment for a first offense of a fine of $1,000, for a second offense, imprisonment for a term of 30 days, and each subsequent offense, imprisonment for a term of 120 days. An offense punishable on summary conviction and liable to a fine not more than $5,000, or to imprisonment of a term not more than 2 years, less a day, or to both, and a minimum punishment of $1,000 on first conviction or first offense. For second offense, imprisonment for a term of 30 days. For each subsequent offense, imprisonment for a term to 120 days. It goes on and on. Wait, did I read you the wrong section? No, I think I got the right section. Minimum fines for high blood alcohol concentrations. It goes on and on. Anyway, yeah, there's your answers, at least verbatim what I'm reading from the section. I really want to get the folks that are camera shy to talk about this, but we have some fantastic resources on the topic, and yeah, they should be speaking to you. And I'm going to try and guilt them into coming onto the show. Okay. What do we got? I'm a G licensed driver with 6 years experience. I'm assuming there's a second message from this. Are flipper zeros illegal in Ontario? Not that I'm aware of. It's a hacking tool. It doesn't have to be. If you use it to hack, you're doing illegal stuff. Just owning it, I don't think it's not a prohibited device that I'm aware of. Let's see here. Your police powers do work outside of Ontario. Do it work outside? It's a question, not a statement. The answer is no. I'm not a police officer outside of Ontario. I'm sworn within the province. I'm sworn within the province. If I'm going to work somewhere else, I could be sworn temporarily elsewhere. But the way I am currently, the way you see me now on camera, no, I can't do anything outside. I'm just a citizen. Now, can I arrest somebody? Sure, I can use citizen's arrest within Canada for the appropriate things, but I can't use the same powers of police that I have here elsewhere. What do we have here? Different ways to test a driver who is high. So we can do buccal swabs. That is one way to test to see if a driver is high. We can perform a roadside sobriety test. We can make a demand to put you in front. Well, to actually make it for court purposes, impaired by drug, it would be a drug recognition expert that we would put them in front of, and that would be a test performed by them. You would, if you perform poorly, and based on your performance, they would determine what class or of drug you're on, and based on their determination, you would be, charged. But for like a buccal swab, that could be like the equivalent of a roadside screening device. That's enough for some things, but not for court. You'd still go before somebody else, from my understanding. I've never used that machine, by the way, the buccal swab. I've never even have I seen it in operation? I may have seen it in operation once, but I am not the expert on that. When a car is turning right, do bikes have to pass on the left when a car is turning right? So this is talking about bicycles. It depends. If you're talking about a bicycle lane, a proper bike track that is divided, no, they don't come out of their bike track to go around you. If it's a bicycle lane, you should be pinching the curb and they should be going around you. But it depends on the intersection and how it's constructed, but generally speaking, yes. Cyclists should be going around you on the left. If it's a Shero, yes, they would be going around to the left as well. But it all depends. At the end of the day, drivers, if you cut off a cyclist because they should have gone around you, according to you, and they drive into you because you actually cut them off and it wasn't a proper maneuver, you're still responsible for everything your vehicle does. So it all depends. It depends on the construction or design of the intersection. Be careful. When you're turning, you are responsible for everything anyway, regardless of what the best practice is. Driving with flip-flops or winter boots, is it legal? Yes, it is. A lot of people, I grew up thinking that flip-flops weren't legal, and they aren't suggested. It's not safe, or at least it's less safe than other ways of putting feet on pedals. They slip, they get stuck behind pedals, they cause issues. They can cause issues. Have to exchange insurance docs in a parking lot motor vehicle collision. Yes, you have to exchange information regardless of the location. It's still an offense. It's still, if the damage amongst both vehicles is $2,000, it still has to be reported, even if charges aren't laid as a result. What is this? Lose your driver's license driving a bicycle. You ride a bicycle, but no, they don't meet in the middle. Now, if it's an e-bike, it's a motor vehicle. When you're driving under the influence of alcohol, for instance, so you could be arrested. But in terms of, it's not dealing with your license. Mind you, if you have a modified e-bike, it's truly a motor vehicle requiring a motorcycle license, ownership, and insurance, which you won't have because e-bikes can't be registered, which means you're just plain old breaking the law. Larry McCoy wants me to answer the questions, but so far I got a question stating, or something stating it. I got a thing saying, please answer my questions. I've yet to actually see a question from Larry McCoy. Got a speed ticket driving in my field. I don't know how that would happen because your field doesn't have a speed limit. Unless you're over 150, at which point that would be possible. You'd be stuck driving. But how did you get a speed ticket in your field? Car thefts in Toronto. Yes. Car thefts everywhere in the world. They happen. What is this? Is it true you get tasered in the academy? Depends on the academy in Ontario. They're no longer doing that. They used to. When I went through, they had stopped doing it. I wanted to get tasered. I'm like, I got to know what this feels like. I used to build hard drives, and I had a number of occasions where I put my thumb across the contacts, and I got the feeling of what electricity in my arm felt like. Curious if it was the same thing. How long can I drive with BC plates? In Ontario, if you have moved here, if you're a student here, if you have relocated, 30 days to register your vehicle here in Ontario, 60 days to change your license. I don't know why they don't use the same date for both, but they don't. Stephen Bell says, I like seeing cops around because I know that I'm safe even when I walk my dog. It is good. Most people like having the police around. Some people don't. The people who don't, I wonder what they're up to. Let's see here. Because why would you have a problem with the police? We're here to protect you. Is painting reflectors on my car black illegal? Reflectors or modifying the light? Anything that makes your vehicle less safe is a bad idea. Whether charges would be applicable, it would depend on the vehicle, what you're painting. I don't know about reflectors. But if, like the light housing, if you're modifying your light housing, you're making it less lighty. Is vaping and driving in a work van illegal? I believe under the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, it could be. It also depends on what's in the vape, but I imagine that it could fall under the same laws as in the vaping or smoking in a workplace, which would be illegal. Jace says he doesn't like it when cops are around because his car is very illegal. Oh, sorry. Is very, very legal or illegal? I don't know if you typoed you're legal or typoed not legal. I don't know. Let's see here. What are the rules for getting a vehicle wrapped? If you change your motor vehicle's color significantly, and I say significantly like it's no longer blue, it's now green, yeah, you got to update your ownership. You got to, within 6 days. You got to do that, or you can be charged. Oh, he says it is legal, not illegal. So then why don't you like the cops being around? Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to wrap it up because I'm way, way over time. Are license plate flippers technically illegal? If they don't flip, I don't think there's any problem with them. I don't think there's any technical, they're not prohibited. But if you flip your license plate, you're no longer displaying the appropriate plate for your vehicle, you have broken the law. You're driving with the inappropriate plate displayed, and you would be eligible for charges. Yeah, that's a thing. All right, it's been a pleasure. We stayed for way too long, but I've had a great time talking to you. We'll be back tomorrow for the last show this week, and I'll be back after tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday because I'm going to Los Angeles to hang out with the folks from Chips. I'm really excited. Can't you tell? No, I really am excited. My wife said I've been bouncing around like a kid, a grade school kid in a candy store. I'm just really excited. It's not every day you get to meet your heroes. And then you really hope that goes well, because if it doesn't, you'd be destroyed. Anyway, have a fantastic day. I leave you with a magical song. It's the traffic song.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving. Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,